Lisa had always believed in love, at least in the idea of it. When she married David, she envisioned a life filled with passion, joy, and unwavering devotion. But as time passed, that dream unraveled. Their conversations became mechanical. Their night's routine, their intimacy faded into habit. She told herself this was normal, that in marriage, passion dimmed and comfort remained. The guest house had been David's suggestion. Might as well use the space, he muttered one morning, over breakfast, eyes fixed on his phone. Lisa nodded, pretending to be interested, though she knew it was just another distraction. Another way to avoid the growing silence between them. When Malik moved into the guest house, Lisa didn't expect to feel anything. He was polite, soft-spoken, and confident without trying. There was something effortless about the way he moved, how his voice settled into a room. She noticed the way his eyes lingered on her, not inappropriate. Just long enough to make her feel seen. She dismissed it. Of course she'd noticed someone new living so close. That was natural. Still, there was a moment, subtle, indescribable. Something shifted. Maybe it was the way he smiled when she handed him the keys, or how he looked at her like she wasn't just someone's wife. Days went by, and Lisa found herself paying attention to details she shouldn't. The way t-shirt hugged his arms as he worked out, the faint scent he left behind, clean, masculine, and quietly intoxicating. She started lingering on the porch, casually glancing toward the guest house, hoping for a glimpse. Their conversations began simply. One afternoon, pretending to check the mailbox, she asked, "How's the place treating you?" "No complaints," he replied with a grin. "Nice setup you've got." She smiled, an unfamiliar flutter rising in her chest. Not guilt, not yet, just something. Then came the accidental encounters, running into him in the driveway, stepping outside at the same time, their eyes meeting a second longer than necessary. It felt harmless. She wasn't doing anything wrong. One evening, with David working late again, Lisa poured herself a glass of wine and stared at the empty seat across from her. The silence in the house felt heavier than usual. She wandered outside without thinking, finding Malik on his porch, phone in hand. "Couldn't sleep?" he asked. "Something like that," she said with a small smile. They talked easily, more openly than she had with anyone in years. He asked about her life before marriage, her dreams. And for the first time in a long time, she remembered them. When she laughed, he watched her with a softness that made her feel real again. When their eyes locked, the space between them hummed with tension. "I should go," she said suddenly. Malik didn't stop her, just nodded, his gaze following her into the night. Back in bed beside David, Lisa stared at the ceiling, heart racing. Nothing had happened technically, but something had shifted. She told herself it was all in her head, but it wasn't. She noticed Malik's routines, timed her coffee with his return from the gym, paid more attention to her clothes, her hair. One afternoon, she caught herself fixing her reflection before stepping outside with no real reason. She went anyway. He was shirtless, fixing a hinge. "Afternoon, Lisa," he said, smiling. She felt like a teenager with a crush. "What are you working on?" she asked. "Just the door. Nothing serious." She hovered, pretending she had come to check on something. "You need anything?" he asked. She hesitated, then, "Just wanted to make sure everything's good." "It is," he said, eyes lingering again. She left before anything could happen, but carried that moment with her all day. That night at dinner, David barely looked at her. Emails took precedence over conversation. Lisa waited for the usual, dull ache of disappointment. Instead, she felt nothing. No sadness, just indifference. Later, drawn by instinct more than intention, she stepped outside again. Malik was on the porch, reading. "Can't sleep?" he asked again. She didn't answer right away, just walked closer. The conversation flowed like before, easy, honest. She talked about books, the ones she used to love. He spoke of his travels. "Do you ever think about leaving?" he asked out of nowhere. "Leaving?" she echoed. "This life, this place." She blinked. "I used to dream about a lot of things. But somewhere along the way, I stopped." He studied her. "Maybe it's time to start dreaming again." His words hit something deep inside her, a part she'd locked away. When their hands brushed, electricity sparked. She stood quickly. "I should go." Again, he let her. That night, his words echoed in her mind. "Maybe you should start dreaming again." But the truth was, she already had. Lisa avoided him for days. It was easier not to feel if she didn't see him. But avoidance only worked for so long. David left for a business trip. A kiss on the cheek, distant and habitual. The house felt emptier. But instead of loneliness, Lisa felt something else. Freedom. A storm rolled in that night. Rain lashed against the windows as she curled on the couch with wine, telling herself she'd sleep early. Then came the knock. She knew it was Malik before she opened the door. Rain dripped from his jacket, his eyes unreadable. "Power's out. Thought I'd check on you?" "I'm fine," she said softly. Neither moved. Eventually, she stepped aside. By candlelight, he shrugged off his jacket, wet shirt clinging to his chest. Her hands trembled as she set her glass down. "You sure you're okay?" he asked again. "No," she whispered. She didn't know who leaned in first. It didn't matter. The second their lips met, the dam broke. There was nothing soft about it, just neat-urgent, wild, long denied. They barely made it to the bedroom. It was heat. It was chaos. It was being seen, being wanted. Afterward, tangled in sheets, she didn't feel shame. She felt alive. Before dawn, Lisa slipped from bed. The storm had passed, leaving the world quiet. She stood by the window, heart heavy not with guilt, but something more dangerous. Malik stirred, his voice raspy. "You okay?" She didn't know how to answer. "Do you regret it?" She should have said yes. It would have been easier, safer, but she didn't. "No. So what happens now?" She exhaled. "I don't know." She left before sunrise. The grass was cold, under her feet, but she barely felt it. Everything in the main house looked unchanged. The wineglass, the furniture, the bed she hadn't slept in. Her phone buzzed. David. She stared at his name. She should have felt guilt. She didn't. Just numbness. When David returned that evening, nothing was different. A kiss on the forehead. A distracted question. Then he disappeared into his office like always. That night, Lisa stepped outside again. Drawn to the guest house. Like a magnet, Malik moved inside, unaware she was watching. She stood there, suspended between two lives, one behind her. One waiting, and for the first time, she had to choose.